Oh hi, I'm the...
Hey Mr. Heretic, a fan of mine has linked me a video.
How do people keep getting in here?
You didn't lock your door.
This is a pocket dimension.
Yeah? So?
Ugh, forget it. So, you said you had a video?
Yeah, a fan of mine has brought this video to my attention. It seems like he wants someone to look at it. It's so cancerous. So I decided to show it to you too, so that we can both die of terminal cancer together. Doesn't that sound wonderful?
Aw, I'm flattered. I'll be sure to thank your ashen remains.
Alright, now let's get started.
Okay. Oh hi, I'm the Heretic.
And I'm Mike the Cat. And today, we're going to be talking about a certain cross-dressing anti-capitalist. Or are we sure that's actually a cross-dresser?
I don't know what the hell that is, but it ain't no attack helicopter.
When you look into the pools of the 9/11 memorial at the World Trade Center, you start to ask yourself questions. Why is the world bad?
That's simple. It's because we live in a fallen, telestial world where people have the freedom to choose good or evil, and a lot of people choose evil.
All it reminds me of is why Islam sucks.
What did all these people die for? Well, for freedom, I guess. And American values?
Repeat after me. Because Islam sucks.
Why must you overcomplicate it? They died because Allahu Akbar!
The 9/11 memorial shares the World Trade Center site with the largest shopping mall in Manhattan. There's a Forever 21, an Under Armour, a Kate Spade, and a pair of shoes that I want, but they're too expensive and my feet are too big and I'm too tall to wear high heels anyway. F***ing neoliberalism?
First world problems. Wait, Dad? Is that you?
What even goes on in these big buildings? I've been looking at them all my life, but I've never been inside one. Are these the towers where the ruling lizards gather? Drinking human blood? Licking whipped cream off the interns?
Chocolate syrup, actually, and only on Wednesdays.
What the hell even is this country?
What is this country? Better than the alternative, at least.
Just the same terrible copy-pasted all over the goddamn place. Longhorn Steakhouse, Golden Corral, Staples, The Red Lobster, PetSmart, Chipotle, Fridays, Dave & Buster's.
So, your beef with capitalism is all the restaurants that franchise all over the place? Not the most compelling argument I've ever heard against capitalism.
Beef? Aw, you're making me hungry. But here's the thing. These chain restaurants allow you to be certain of the quality of food wherever you go. This is a good thing.
I personally prefer smaller or more obscure chains that use fresh, local ingredients, but oh well. Spend your money where you want to spend it. It's not that hard. You don't see me giving money to McDonald's. I f***ing hate that restaurant.
Don't make fun. Their milkshakes are excellent.
I'm gonna put the cake on the pizza. Put it all in me. Fill me up. Oh, god damn it. It was so good, but I ate so much I think I'm gonna die. Look what capitalism made me do.
Oh no, capitalism suddenly made me crave their face.
Capitalism cannot make you do anything. You are a free agent. Or are you implying that capitalism is bad because it gives you enough freedom to do stupid things like binging on lava cake and pizza all night long?
I still want to eat its face.
Yeah, you go do that.
Political dissent begins with the vaguest feeling that something is wrong.
Which is exactly why so many people are dissenting from the left-wing establishment that has prevailed for so long. You say that people have the vague feeling that something is wrong. Chances are, they're not going to agree with you on what you think is wrong in the world.
And a lot of people have that feeling. But the problem with vague feelings is they can be channeled in any direction. The same vague angst can drive people to communism or fascism or anything in between.
Communism, fascism, or anything in between? What's between communism and fascism? Both are, in practice, totalitarian regimes that exalt the state. So what's there to be between?
There's a general sense today among young people that we have been lied to, and that sense is perhaps the most acute among middle-class white men, who apparently were promised that they could be millionaires, or movie gods, or rock stars. The term special snowflake is used today as a slur against queer teenagers, but it comes from the movie Fight Club, where it refers to a generation of white guys who have become adults only to find that they're worse off than their fathers, that they don't have glamorous jobs, they don't have girlfriends.
No, it's a term for pretentious, entitled brats, like you. No queer necessary.
It doesn't just apply to middle-class white men. Yes, plenty of them are spoiled, pretentious brats. And it also helps that many of them are also SJWs who hold the same political beliefs you do. It has all to do with race or gender. All you have to do to become a special snowflake is to have parents who tell you that you are special, to be given participation trophies, only to grow up and realize that you are just an average person. You then throw a continuous temper tantrum over the fact the world refuses to validate the cheery, sugary lies that your parents, teachers, and educational facility fed you for years.
And more recently, that even in the escapist world of video games, their absolute sovereignty is being challenged.
Boring game where nothing happens. This is the game that kicked off Gamergate. This game only got good reviews because Zoe Quinn slept with a games journalist. Even then, well, it's just text. It barely qualifies as a game. Certainly nothing that would challenge whatever sovereignty you imagine there is about gaming. Another boring snooze fest of a game where nothing happens. Feminists sure know how to make great, compelling, riveting games, don't they? I don't need to say anything.
It would do a lot for my morale if I understood what they were dying for.
This is the mission briefing I received before we left Center.
Your mission is to infiltrate N313, arm the core, and pass control to Chester. If you fail this mission, it will mean an all-out nuclear war. End of line.
So, if Minuet is the commander and Unknown is the fighter pilot, what do you do?
If I'm supposed to be concerned about my sovereignty in gaming being threatened, seeing these games made me realize we're going to be just fine.
Look, we've seen how feminists and other SJWs have fucked up other fandoms, media, and genres. We've seen people like Jack Thompson try to ruin games. Why should it be any different if somebody on the left wing does the same exact thing? We aren't worried about our so-called sovereignty. We're worried that the video game industry will be filled to the brim with pretentious crap that is impossible to enjoy. And we have to deal with you whining about sexism, racism, homophobia, etc. when you are faced with perfectly legitimate criticism of your gosh awful game. We get enough bullshit from EA and Infinity Ward. Why would we want you people to join in as well?
I devoted half my channel to chronicling the deranged consequences of this situation. Anti-feminism, alpha males, pickup artists, the surreal surge in support for a white ethnic homeland. But till now, I haven't talked about the underlying causes, and it's important to do that.
Yes, it's very important to talk about the underlying causes of the rise of the alt-right, which is why Sargon of Akkad and many others have posted videos on this very subject. Why aren't you listening to them? Or would you rather not face the fact that it may just as well be the regressive left that is to blame for the rise of the alt-right, by telling white people about how evil they are for being white, or about how successful people are to blame for the failures of those around them, by validating identity politics in the first place?
Because the thing is, the white men aren't even wrong that society is screwing them in some way. It's just that it's screwing everyone else even more. So the masculinist alt-right analysis of society is exactly upside down.
So why are your identity politics right and the alt-right's wrong? It seems to me that identity politics is just a victimhood dick measuring contest.
Guys, you are not under the thumb of a Jewish feminist plot to turn you into girly soy boy cucks.
I never said the Jews were behind it. What we're saying is that we should do well to shun any ideology that attracts emasculated soy boy cucks like yourself. I'm not exactly manly myself, and you could probably tell by my voice, but I need the little I've got.
I'd hesitate to call that thing a boy.
Indeed. I'm just going to call that thing an it.
I call it dinner.
Cultural Marxism did not turn you into placid IKEA consumers. Capitalism did. So what you need to do is stop scapegoating non-whites, feminists, and trans people and unite with the rest of us to actually do something about the real enemy, the blood-sucking, goddamn reptiles.
Okay, that's racist. First off, the Illuminati are globalists, not free market capitalists. Secondly, we're not vampires. We don't suck blood. We drink it. From glasses. Like civilized people, mostly. Thirdly, hashtag not all reptiles.
Cultural Marxism is nothing more nor less than the application of class theory to every aspect of human existence, such as race, nationality, gender, ethnicity, etc. But because people are fundamentally equal, all differences come from prejudice. When will you realize how wrong this is? When will you stop scapegoating rich people or straight white men for the problems faced by ethnic minorities, women, or the LGBT community? Or better yet, why don't you stop pretending to care about them? You don't give a shit about all those people you claim are downtrodden and oppressed. They are nothing more than mere pawns to you. You demagogue to these people simply so that they will vote for you and support you. You keep them ignorant of the fact that they are free agents and that they are free to act for themselves and determine their own destiny.
Capitalism and spirit. Oh god, I sound like a philosopher. Someone shoot me. Remember that Nazi propaganda video where Richard Spencer says that a
nation based on freedom is just another place to go shopping?
Richard Spencer, a Nazi? You mean National Socialist. Don't get me wrong, I'm no Spencer fan, but simply throwing the Nazi label around diminishes its meaning. I disagree with Spencer because he's a statist who fully understands the violent and unethical nature of the state and embraces it anyways, even elevating it to a spiritual level, like a fascist.
The only reason why you would hate Richard Spencer so much is because of a narcissism of minor differences. He is a collectivist, just like the left wing. Both the regressive left and the alt-right are racial collectivists, and they're both economic collectivists. The regressive left applies identity politics to everything, just like the alt-right. And the alt-right is opposed to capitalism, just like the left wing you love so much. Stop pretending to be different or better than the alt-right already!
Please don't use the terms left-wing or right-wing. The political spectrum is worthless. Collectivists and individualists are what matters. Suffice to say, collectivists hate capitalism.
A leftist could easily have said that. We think of leftist analysis as being very materialistic, but there's a spiritual dimension to it too. Much of Karl Marx's early writings are primarily concerned with the state of the human soul under capitalism, with the alienation of working not for yourself but for an employer who appropriates the value of your work, with the fetishism of commodities, the investment of inanimate objects with transcendent properties beyond their usefulness, with the system of lies and delusions by which capitalism understands and justifies itself.
How odd, considering Karl Marx never worked a day in his life.
He raped his maid and he threw her out when she got pregnant. He never bathed or groomed himself properly. He left his family to starve even though he had enough money to feed them. And he profited off of the very system he professed to despise so much. Funny how worthless, deadbeat pieces of shit attract each other like magnets.
Wow, he sounds like the last person we should ever be listening to in regards to the destruction of someone's soul. Takes one to know one, I guess. But these are ad hominems, so let's address the argument. Capitalism crushes men's souls? Compared to what? Was the backbreaking monotony of farming healthier for the soul? Maybe we should ask the hundreds of millions of dead under communism how fulfilled they feel this week.
With f***ing Comcast increasing my bill to $70 a month for no f***ing reason.
Ugh. It really seems like these SJWs are proud of the fact that they whine about first world problems.
No, I don't want a landline. No one under the age of 60 wants a landline. Of course, it's not just Marxists who complain about a capitalist malaise. Fascists and conservatives notice it too.
I doubt you even know what a conservative is.
I just love how it admits that the right wing has the tendency to be economically collectivist as well, and doesn't even see the problem with economic collectivism yet. You've got the alt-right and the regressive left in the same room, trying to spill each other's blood, and the rest of us are just here, laughing our asses off, and hoping that they'll just both remove themselves from the gene pool already.
Only they think the solution is to seek collective meaning in ancient customs, racial chauvinism, or fight clubs. And that is not really my scene. I'm really more of a pursuit of individual happiness person. But I think that capitalism as we know it is pretty bad at fostering individual happiness.
Dinner is right, actually. Except that what we have today is corporatism, not capitalism. There's way too much intervention into the economy from the coercive monopoly of the state, and it freaking sucks.
On the other hand, as I've mentioned before, even half-assed capitalism is better than socialism.
And here's why. Chapter 2. Alienated labor. This Marxist jargon sucks. Let's come up with something new. Chapter 2. Jobs.
All aboard! Fun times ahead! Choo-choo!
Why is your job so Well, probably it's because you work at the Comcast customer service call center, and you spend your day dealing with whiny, entitled white bitches who don't understand that you're just a lackey without any actual power. And the system is organized so that people with no power just have to pointlessly shout at each other.
Or maybe it's because the CEO doesn't have time to listen to the angry customers who have no idea how an ISP even operates. Do you know how an ISP operates? You may have a point, though, about how the government props up ISP monopolies, ensuring that the internet infrastructure never gets updated with new cables, which, by the way, libertarian capitalists oppose far more than you do. We even risked our reputations by speaking out against net neutrality, even as the left-wing establishment promoted it.
There's a supply and demand for phone operators, a supply and demand for CEOs. Yes, I know, commoditization of labor, but guess what? The laws of economics don't care about your feelings. Plus, there's a division of labor. If the CEO was taking customer calls all the time, how can he reasonably also manage his company? It's called specialization.
You don't have any stake in the profit of Comcast as a company, so you don't really have any reason to give a shit about the success of the corporate machine in which you are a gear.
If you are so worried about being alienated from your job, just start up your own business or start up a workers' cooperative. Nothing in a capitalist society is preventing you from sharing your means of production with your neighbor. The only reason you whine so much is because you want to force everybody else into your socialist arrangement. Or is it because your workers' cooperative would also have to compete with traditional companies in the free market? I guess leftists hate competition just as much as crony big businessmen do.
Also, don't most companies offer stock options to employees? You're literally invested in the company as a condition of employment. Even so, here's a list of worker cooperatives I found in the United States on Wikipedia in like 5 seconds.
The CEO makes $36 million a year, while you make $14 an hour, which means that a lot of the value of the work you're doing doesn't get paid to you, but goes straight up the chain of command and into the pockets of the chief lizards.
I wish.
Still clinging onto the labor theory of value, are we? Again, why not start your workers' cooperative? But there's another thing I should mention. The CEO took out a high-risk investment just to start up the business so that the workers themselves wouldn't have to. Or maybe companies with a CEO or managers at the top can manage themselves better than the workers' cooperatives can? Direct democracy is not a good way to run any organization, because majority opinion does not automatically become correct by virtue of it being majority opinion. Otherwise, these workers' cooperatives would probably be replacing the traditional companies by now.
Certainly doesn't work with running a country, but hey, if you've discovered a business model that's more efficient and productive, start it up. Become rich and ascend to the exalted halls of the reptilian overlords. Prepare this dinner for apotheosis!
Aw, but I wanted to eat him!
Apotheosis of my belly.
The ruthless hierarchical structure of the company means that you're competing against your fellow employees for a promotion, or even to not be laid off. And if that happens, you'll end up competing against other unemployed people for another job as a concrete lifter, or a mud mule, or maybe even a coffee shop MacBook person. This means it's difficult to even experience companionship with the other people in your situation, because you're all being pitted against each other by the goddamn reptiles.
Alright, I hate having to explain this over and over and over, but it looks like I will have to. Capitalism is not strictly competitive, nor strictly cooperative. It simply leaves you with the freedom to do either of those things, depending on what is in your individual self-interest. You work together, mutually, in a company, and you assist each other as needed. There's the competition bit, yes, as companies compete against each other. But competition is the very thing that prevents monopolies from forming in the first place. I thought you leftists hated monopolies? Oh, but I forgot. If you morons were consistent in your beliefs or logic, you wouldn't be leftists. Now would you?
Haven't you read Saul Alinsky? They have no principles.
And it gets even worse. You could be employed by new age reptiles who force you to participate in team building exercises, company scavenger hunts, mandatory fun, which means that not only do you have a oppressive job, but you're not even allowed the basic pleasure of openly hating your life. You have to constantly pretend that you're having fun.
A lizard is helping you break the soul-crushing monotony you were complaining about under capitalism earlier, and you're still complaining?
Oh, but I forgot! We capitalists are wrong no matter what we do or say! We can't win with you morons!
I think that's the point.
Does nothing in this world make dinner happy? There's only one option now. We must eat it and put it out of its misery.
All for the sake of maintaining the overlord's comfortable delusion that he's not your overlord. These lizards are smart, and they keep coming up with more elaborate ways to lie to you.
Flattery won't save you, Sir Loin.
Chapter 3. Advertising. Is it pretentious to use chapters in a YouTube video? What if each section is named after an episode in the Odyssey?
I know this is not an argument, but this kind of thing in your videos isn't charming. It's scatterbrained, and it makes me not want to take your videos seriously. After all, you aren't. I mean, take your videos even less seriously than I already am.
If you've lived your life in America, you've spent every day since birth assailed from all directions by propaganda campaigns for cereals and cigarettes and sugar snacks, and now you can't get no satisfaction.
Hilarious how collectivists think advertising is mind control.
Jesus, people have been complaining about advertising so long it's come to seem like a basic feature of the human condition. But it's not a basic feature of the human condition. It's a situation particular to life under capitalism.
Right, because propaganda definitely was not a thing in the Soviet Union or in North Korea. Only capitalists and businesses broadcast messages to persuade people. I can't see any other use for it.
I mean, North Korea is a dystopian shithole, but at least the train station isn't cluttered up with advertisements for... Oh. So many fans.
ContraPoints is a tanky confirmed. A neoliberal tanky.
I know what you're saying here. You're not praising North Korea per se, but you're still wrong. Also, tanky refers to Stalinists. For North Korea, the term is, nuki, I think. Anyways, North Koreans are bombarded by advertisements too, just in the form of propaganda broadcasts about why they should worship some mashed potatoes. Under capitalism, at least our ads tell us about cool stuff.
Consumer society is all about goddamn lizards inventing desires, which they implant in your brain through advertising. Then, they sell you the product that fulfills the desire that they invented, irrespective of whether the fulfillment of the desire actually contributes to your well-being in any way. So what we have is a society built not around meeting basic human needs or maximizing human happiness, but around the extravagant profits of powerful reptiles who tell you what to want and then sell it to you.
The only thing that advertising does is to bring the existence of a good or service to the attention of potential customers, oftentimes in the most entertaining way possible. And no, it is not rational to assume that everybody else is as stupid as you are, to assume that everybody else believes everything they see on TV. It's not rational to be completely humorless and not understand when advertisements are being intentionally ironic or just or just trying to be entertaining. And no, companies cannot manufacture desires, you idiot! Take New Coke, for instance. One of the most unsuccessful attempts at marketing done by one of the world's largest companies. Or the extremely arrogant advertising campaigns done by Sega and Atari when they were still in the console wars, only for them to lose miserably. Look, I realize that being a free agent is too much work for lazy deadbeats like yourself, but hear me out. You are a free agent. You are responsible for your own well-being. Grow the f*** up and stop blaming your problems on others.
I want me some of that reptilian mind control magic, though.
And this would be a grim state of affairs in any circumstances, but it's especially egregious in a country where many of the basic needs are not met. On the one hand, we have 40 million people living in this country with medical debt,
which is to be blamed on government, not capitalism.
Spiraling tuition costs leading college students to take out loans they may never escape.
Ditto!
I'm sensing a pattern here.
More than 500,000 homeless people and 13 million children who have to go to school hungry.
You know, one criticism about anarcho-capitalism is our simplified worldview that blames the government for society's problems. Yet all the problems that are brought up are caused by the state.
I think it should be absolutely obvious, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the government couldn't care less about those people. They wasted about $1.5 trillion on a jet that doesn't even work. That's enough money to buy every homeless person in America a friggin' mansion. And hell, I haven't even gotten to the body count of people who have starved to death under socialism because they couldn't properly allocate resources, or the countries that are starving to death because their government won't even allow food to be imported.
And on the other hand, we apparently have the resources to mass-produce $400 juice packet squeezing machines and $300 luxury ice cubes, and there are apparently Americans who are willing to spend $50 million on Barnett Newman paintings. I mean, it's a fine painting, it's got a lot of great red on it, but is it really worth the cost of feeding every homeless person in America for 2 weeks?
Do you care about the poor? Bleeding heart authoritarianism doesn't cut it.
Dinner is extremely charitable with other people's money.
Is this what an efficient economy looks like? If GDP is your only measure of efficiency, then maybe, but shouldn't the economy serve humanity rather than the other way around? If millions of people are struggling under the weight of student debt, underemployment, and outrageous medical costs, then who gives a shit how many golden donuts we can produce?
Put your money where your mouth is. Charity breeds charity. Altruism breeds altruism. Forced altruism is not altruism at all, and therefore breeds no altruism. If people are selfish and greedy under capitalism, they will be selfish and greedy under socialism. Try as you might to change people from the outside in, it never works. So shut up and get to work if you care about those people so much.
Canto 4, Message to the Rich. Alright, you filthy goddamn reptiles, listen up.
My saliva is growling at the thought of your face sliding down my throat. I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Pretty good barometer for internet politics, which is to say, politics. I mean, I noticed the alt-right thing pretty early, and you can assign as much or as little significance to that as you choose. But what I'm picking up at the moment is that people are getting mad, and they're starting to get mad specifically at you, the rich.
I'm not rich, but I'm flattered at the compliment.
And you don't just have to trust my intuitions here. Recent polling data shows that a majority of adults under the age of 30 do not support capitalism, and almost a third support socialism.
Mainly because they went to universities that were infested with neo-Marxist pseudo-intellectuals. If I wanted an opinion on what is the right course of action, the last group I would ask for it would be these guys.
Zombies! Oh no. Oh, we should film it. Yeah. Oh no.
It's filthy! Just stay away. You don't like it? Yeah! Hey. Yeah! Mark. Mark, leave him alone. Leave him alone, Mark. Yeah! Mark. Mark, leave him alone.
Back off!
You bitch!
Back off!
Leave him alone, Mark.
Hey!
Mark, just stand there. Mark, stay there. Let him go. Let him go. Mark! I can handle
What the hell are you doing? Back off! You! Back off right now! You! Take a hike. You call yourself Christian!
Mark.
I don't like you!
Hey, well, there's
You don't touch him!
Mark, don't worry about it.
You!
Mark, please, I said stop. This man assaulted me and tried to take my sign, and I defended myself.
I got the video.
Your sign is f***ing offensive! I have the right to free speech in this country, and I have the right to freedom of religion, and I am violating no law.
That's hate speech!
This man, I can have press charges for assault on this man right now if I chose to, but I'm not going to.
It's hate speech! It's provoked assault!
This man assaulted me, but I'm not going to press charges against him. But this man is completely out of control. And thank you, Mark, shut up. Thank you for having us on, for taking video of it.
However, people would do well to be mad at the rich upper-class socialists and corporatists who lobby for economic intervention in their favor, and welfare programs that keep poor people dependent on the government for their survival, both of which capitalists oppose even more strongly than you do. Not to mention these rich leftists constantly preach to straight white men about how they are so evil simply for being straight, white, or male. Why don't you stop trying to deflect? Why don't you think long and hard about why people are angry with rich, upper-class SJWs like yourself?
What you're doing has been tried before, and it doesn't end well. You can't just stroll around town dressed like this and live in houses like this when there are millions of peasants who don't have enough to eat. They will eventually try to cut your heads off. And judging by the mood I'm picking up on social media right now, if you don't fix some shit and make life better for the masses, they are gonna cut your heads off.
Why don't you follow your own advice? Why must you be so confident in the idea that you SJWs won't be the ones to get your heads cut off?
Are you going to answer the phone? There is no phone. There is only the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, the soul of a soulless condition. It's best to just try and ignore it.
Such wisdom! I don't know if I can handle it!
Episode 5. Message to the Youth. Alright kids, so you're angry. Well, good. The world sucks. There's a lot to be angry about. What we have to do next is decide what to do with that anger. I don't think tweeting aggressively is gonna cut it. So, what do we do?
Oh god, what is that thing? Kill it! Kill with fire! All the fire!
Yeah, 'cause that's exactly what we need. More bratty children who don't know what the hell they want, but know how to get it. And we need more idiotic adults who waste their time trying to stay relevant to these children who refuse to make something of themselves.
Is this cool? Is this the new hip and edgy thing? No, you look ridiculous. And this whole character design looks like a satire of social justice. Then again, satire requires hyperbole, and you guys are really hard to exaggerate.
For the love of God, can we not watch the next several minutes?
I thought you'd never ask. I mean, if you want to see it for yourself, go ahead, but I wouldn't recommend it. It just goes into the differences between the communist revolutionaries in Antifa and progressives, which is to say, completely patronizing the revolutionaries and young people in general, making them look like clueless idiots who just want to mindlessly smash and dress up like parodies of furry weeaboos.
Hey, I resemble that last remark. Aside from that, though, isn't that just portraying them accurately?
Well, yeah, but if you want to reach out to someone, you don't talk down to them. Meanwhile, it portrays progressives as reasonable, as thoughtful and intelligent, even though they have the exact same goals. You paying attention? The progressives and the communists want the same thing. A progressive is just a communist that's patient, and that should be a major wake-up call. The problem is that to the revolutionaries, if they have their way, the patients and progressives will be seen as inaction. Inaction will be seen as complicity, and they'll be forced to learn the hard way what liberals get the bullet too means. Just ask Rose Pierre how well writing that revolutionary tide turned out. Since we're skipping over a big and insanely cringy part of the video, which lasts until the end of the video, let's end on a high note.
2018, man.
It's current year. This was only part 1?
Don't worry. Esoteric Entity, Hoodie Demon, Shane Killian, or Mr. Dapperton can cover part 2 if they want. I am done.
Well, we got through it. Barely. You know, all this cancer's left me starving.
So, can we eat it now?
Let's go!